Hi everyone. I am Patrick McDowell. I'm a sustainable fashion designer based in London, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the ideas behind my new collection, which launches tomorrow at 6:15 British Standard Time and 8:15 EEST, which, as you'll know, is part of the Helsinki Fashion Week schedule. And tomorrow is the first day of shows. So tomorrow is the first day of shows. Um, and this is the last day of the designer residency that's been happening all week, I think everyone's had some amazingly interesting conversations with all kinds of people from all over the world, which is really exciting. So the inspiration behind my show, Catholic Fairy Tales, is basically growing up as a Catholic and going to Catholic school, being an altar boy, being in the church choir, um, and the relationship that LGBTQ plus people and queer people have to religion, the relationship there, and anyone that grew up a Catholic probably has the knowledge of Catholic guilt, which is uh, like so complex. But basically, they aren't great with queer people, and it was quite confusing as a child growing up like that because the Catholic Church, especially, is very opulent and very kind of, it's very much like a show. And I definitely felt like I was giving a performance every Sunday, sitting on the altar as an altar boy, and you get to wear this robe and hold golden chalices and all that. So, all of that kind of thing really played into my love of theatre. And as you'll see tomorrow with the show, it's very theatrical. And but then when you're told that that kind of institution that you grew up with doesn't support who you are as a person, that's it's very confusing. So I wanted this show to kind of be some kind of robes for queer people to kind of reclaim some of that opulence that we're almost denied through religion, or the official line of the church is that it's okay to be gay, but you can't act on those feelings, which is obviously a really hurtful and horrible thing to be telling anyone. But I think especially to say that in schools to children is really awful. And it was said to me at school when I was 14 um, by a teacher. And I think that that's really damaging to anyone that was in that room who might identify as a queer person. And um, I just think I'm a huge supporter of creative education and education in general being a tool for change. And I think that to put uh, children in that position to tell them that they're wrong or less than because of who they were born as is such a like so terrible. And I just think it's really not great. So I'm hoping that this, like all my collections have ended up being for me, it's definitely some kind of therapy to work through things that have happened. Uh and this one has been the same as that. And it's been interesting kind of being a very kind of firm believer in or non-believer through developing this collection. Almost I've been like, well, maybe God does exist, maybe they exist in a different way. And yeah, it's just been super interesting to kind of have that development as well in my life because I didn't expect that to happen. But anyone that's familiar with my previous work, my first collection was based on a climbing trip that my dad did when I was a kid, and that kind of brought us closer together because I had to ask him all these questions about climbing, and it was the first time that we'd had something in common that we could talk about that was connected to fashion and the work I was doing. And that was really amazing, actually. And then the second one was about my mom and her sisters, and that really connected me and my aunties especially a lot more because I had to talk to them about their favorite outfits in their lives and things like that. So it's been really interesting doing this one, which is a bit more focused on me, which sounds a bit narcissistic, but really interesting because I think when you grow up as a Catholic, all of the kind of big life events are linked to religion, and my schools were, and obviously church was. But if you think weddings, First communions, Christmas, Easter, all of the kind of big events in the year are all kind of linked to church. So it's something you can't really get away from unless you never want to see your family again, which I certainly don't. So it's I think it's really it's a challenging one to try and work to, and I know lots of queer people find Christmas incredibly difficult, and I actually, as I get older, find Christmas more and more challenging, especially Christmas, because I think it's such a it is like it's one of the examples of like heteronormative society, and I think as I get older, I'm becoming more familiar with what is and isn't good for me, and I think Christmas is definitely not. Um, and But I know a lot of other queer people feel the same way about Christmas, which I find quite interesting. So originally, the collection that was going to be physical was going to be made from dead stock silk from an amazing family-run mill in Italy called Tironi Silk, and they do all of those kind of amazingly bright silks that you see at like Valentino Couture and Schiaparelli and Chanel, and they have really amazing kind of people there that weave all of the fabrics in these really incredible colors, and they they very kindly invited me to go there in November last year. So I went with my mom, and we chose all of these incredible fabrics and had had a really great time picking them out. We went on a tour of the factory with Max, the guy that runs it now, and the idea was that the physical collection was going to be made with all of these incredible kind of dead stock silks, but obviously it all went digital because of this year being a major kind of spanner in the works. So all of the fabrics that you'll see tomorrow are actually based on their real fabrics, and the digital teams have done an incredible job of actually replicating those really beautiful fabrics. And I was saying yesterday, it's been really interesting because as someone that works with dead stock, I'm limited usually with how much of a certain fabric I can get or what I can use. So in this instance, I could use as much of anything as I wanted in any color, and that was really it felt quite freeing actually. But also you kind of miss the challenge slightly, but it was really fascinating. So that's the fabrics, and then I work with upcycled Swarovski crystal a lot. So we've done Swarovski inspired digital crystals, which kind of cover everything, which is another great thing about digital, because obviously hand embroidery takes a really long time and it's very heavy, but in the digital space it can weigh whatever you want or nothing, and it can be done fairly quickly. I mean, you still kind of have to hand place everything, but obviously placing it on digitally is very much faster than hand sewing. And the great thing about computers is that you can cut and paste, and you definitely can't do that with the needle and thread. So that's kind of the fabrics and the crystals, and then the prints in the collection are all family photographs of mine. So there's mom and her wedding day on the co-created look that we've already published as a teaser. If you go on my Instagram and Helsinki Fashion Week's Instagram, you can see that there that I made with Stacey. Mom's face is on on the cape, and then she's also on another one of the looks, which will be available in the digital village tomorrow as well. And the physical, as a very analog designer, it was very interesting to work in a digital way, because I didn't expect it to be so kind of craft based, but it really does have quite a lot of respect for the ability to sew, and pattern cutting knowledge is still kind of crucial to developing 3D digital clothes as well. So that was really, I found that really insightful, and I'm sure that's something that might change as the technology develops. I'm sure that the AI's ability to learn pattern cutting and stuff like that will increase, and I think I'm really excited to see how these programs will evolve with growing computer capacity as well, because I think at the moment the computers that we have weren't necessarily designed to work with these kinds of programs, and so I think they're a bit slow. So I think as computers start to be developed to work specifically with these kind of programs, it's going to be really amazing to see what you can do with them. Because I was saying the interesting thing about these programs is that they were originally developed to speed up the sampling process to make physical clothing. So they're kind of very real world focused. So they have things like gravity, and they have things, all of the kind of, like I said, the rules of pattern cutting and sewing really do still apply in these programs. And that's maybe something that would be nice to, if you remove that, then suddenly there's all these other possibilities of doing things which won't ever exist physically, but could, for example, exist only digitally. And I think that that's a really, I think it's going to be really exciting to see how people's perceptions of what they can make digitally changes. Because I mean, for me, I think if you're going to create something that just exists digitally, it doesn't need to have so much reference to things that are in the real world. I don't see, if you could have it physically, I don't know why you wouldn't want to have it differently digitally. But I think it's like any cultural movement, it has to relate. In the first instance, it has to be relatable so people understand it, and then it can kind of go off on its own kind of path. So I'm sure within the next 5 years, we'll start to see people engaging with these kinds of things a lot more. And that's something you can do now with the Digital Village tomorrow, is you can actually download the garments and wear them on your digital avatars. And I've made the decision to make my collection open source, so it really is open to everyone to download and use for personal use. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how people use it, because I think that's one of the most amazing things about fashion always, is that it's different to art, because people take it and they wear it with something else and put it in situations that you would never expect it to be in. And that's, I think, one of the most incredible things about clothing, is that once you give it away or sell it, people, it becomes a completely different thing, and that person changes it because they own it and they do different things with it. And I think that's always really amazing to see. So I'm very excited to see what everyone can do with all of these crazy capes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This digital experience has been really interesting, and I'm excited to see how this space evolves in the future. And yeah, please tune in to Catholic Fairy Tales tomorrow, Monday the 27th at 6:15 British Standard Time, 8:15 EEST, and I look forward to seeing you at Mass. Bye everyone, thanks so much for watching.